My sister framed me, cried to my parents, and got me thrown out barefoot at 15. Weeks later, she bragged about it, and Mom overheard everything. I was standing in the living room, skinny, exhausted, wearing the same clothes I'd slept behind a gas station in, when my sister smirked and said the words that nearly ended me again. "Yeah, I framed you. So what?" She didn't know my mom was standing behind the hallway door. She didn't know her lie was seconds away from collapsing. She didn't know karma had finally entered the chat, and after being kicked out barefoot at 15, after being called a thief, after surviving on the streets because of a lie, this was the moment everything changed. If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, if you've ever felt powerless while someone else played the innocent victim, hit that like, smash, subscribe, and get ready, because today's story is one of the most infuriating betrayals and one of the most satisfying karmic paybacks you'll ever hear. Growing up, I learned early that my feelings didn't matter. In my house, respect was a one-way street. From me straight to my father. He spoke, you listened. He yelled, you lowered your head. He wasn't a parent, he was a judge looking for reasons to slam the gavel. My mother hovered in the background like a ghost. Always quiet, always agreeing. But my sister Becca, she was the family's handcrafted angel, gift-wrapped in innocence, dipped in sugar, held up like she could do no wrong. If Becca forgot chores, she's still learning. If I forgot, "You're getting lazy, Kyle," if she snapped at me. Be nicer to your sister. If I breathed too loudly, stop trying to start trouble. The hierarchy wasn't spoken, but it ruled everything. It happened on a Wednesday, a normal night, too normal, until I heard my father scream my full name. Not the usual annoyed tone, not even the angry one. This one had something new layered in it. Decision. A verdict already chosen. I opened my door and saw Becca standing behind them. Eyes red, lips trembling like she was auditioning for Professional Victim of the Year. Mom clutched her chest. Dad clenched his fists. Becca pointed at me like she was identifying a criminal in a lineup. She said you took money out of her drawer, my mom whispered. My dad didn't whisper. He exploded. "You a little thief after everything we do for you?" Before I could process anything, before I could breathe, Dad marched past me and flipped my pillow. Crumpled bills spilled out. Becca gasped softly behind him. A rehearsed gasp. A perfect gasp. I felt the room tilt. "That's not mine," I said, voice shaky. "It was under your pillow," Dad roared. I knew exactly what this was, but accusations don't need logic when parents choose their favorite. "You think she'd lie?" he screamed. My mind screamed, yes, but my mouth failed. Dad grabbed my arm so hard I felt his thumbprint. He dragged me through the hallway as my mom cried into her hands. Becca watched quietly, too quietly. Dad shoved me towards the front door, grabbed a trash bag, and stuffed in whatever clothes were nearest. "Get out of my house," he growled. "Dad, now!" Before I could beg, argue, or defend myself, I was pushed onto the porch, barefoot, holding a trash bag, the door slamming behind me like a prison gate. I stood there, heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest. I was 15, and I was alone. The first night, I slept behind the grocery store near the dumpsters. If you've never slept on concrete, let me tell you, it feels like it wants to swallow your bones. The second night, a friend let me crash on his couch, blanking until his parents said I was trouble. The week after that, I tried going to school, but Becca had already spread her story. She caught him stealing. He lies about everything. My parents kicked him out for a reason, classmates whispered. Teachers stared longer than usual. Counselors didn't ask if I was okay. They told me to reflect on my decisions. I was invisible, but only in the ways that mattered, while I'm in the ways that hurt. Some nights I found a gym to sneak into. Other nights I curled up under awnings, using my trash bag of clothes as a pillow. Sometimes I didn't eat at all. I learned which gas stations didn't chase homeless kids away. I learned how cold your blood feels when you haven't slept in 2 days. I learned that shame can drown you quietly. And just when I thought I had felt the deepest cut, Becca found me. I was sitting behind the gas station, hugging my knees to my chest when I heard the crunch of gravel. Becca, clean clothes, fresh makeup, that perfect spoiled princess posture. She looked me up and down like I was roadkill. "So," she said lightly, "still pretending you didn't steal my money?" "I didn't, Becca." She leaned against the wall, crossing her arms, blue eyes sparkling with something dark. "I know," she whispered. My breath froze in my lungs. She leaned closer. I put it there. The world fell away. "You... what? You heard me." She shrugged like she was admitting she ate the last cookie. "You're always so dramatic. Mom and Dad believe anything I say. I wanted to teach you a lesson." "A lesson?" I whispered. "I'm living on the streets." "And?" She tilted her head. "Maybe now you'll stop acting like you're better than me." I stared at her. She smiled. Not innocent, not remorseful, a smile of someone who loves power more than people. "You ruined my life," I said. She flipped her hair. "Cry about it." She walked away humming, and something inside me cracked, or awakened. Maybe both. 3 more weeks passed. 3 more weeks of cold nights. 3 more weeks of hunger. 3 more weeks of replaying that smirk in my head. And finally, I snapped, not in anger, not in rage, in resolve. I wasn't going to fade away behind dumpsters. I wasn't going to let my family rewrite who I was. I was going home, not to beg, not to plead, but to force the truth into the light. When I walked up the driveway, I looked nothing like the boy they threw out. I was thinner, dirtier, tired in a way no kid should ever be tired. I knocked once. Dad opened the door. His face twisted instantly. "Absolutely not. Get away from my house. Dad," my voice didn't shake this time. "We're talking." He stepped forward, grabbing my arm, the same grip he used the night he threw me out. But this time, I didn't move. I held my ground. He pushed harder. I still didn't move. "I'm not leaving," I said quietly. "Not until the truth comes out." "You lying little..." He grabbed a glass from the table and hurled it toward me. It shattered against the door frame, shards flying past my ear. I didn't flinch. That threw him off. The yelling brought Becca into the room. Her eyes went wide when she saw me, then narrowed. "Oh, great," she said. "He's back." "Becca," I said, my voice low. "Tell them." Dad glared at me. "Tell us what?" "That she planted the money." Mom had walked into the hallway at some point, but none of us noticed. Becca scoffed dramatically. "Why would I say that? You're a liar. You've always been..." "Just say it," I repeated. She rolled her eyes, crossed her arms, and laughed. "Fine. You want the truth?" Dad turned to her. She looked directly at me, smirked again, and said the sentence that saved my life. Of course I planted it. You were being annoying, and Mom and Dad always believed me anyway. Silence. Not a normal silence. A choking, electric silence. Like the house itself had stopped breathing. Dad's face drained. My heart pounded. Becca still didn't realize what she'd done. Then Mom stepped forward. "Rebecca, what did you just say?" Becca froze. For the first time in her life, she didn't have a script. My mother's face twisted, pain, confusion, horror all swirling together. You lied about your own brother? You let him live on the streets?" Becca stuttered. "Mom, no, it's not. He's twisting it." But Dad had already backed away from her like she was contagious. I stood there, exhausted, heartbreaking and healing at the same time. My mom grabbed her head with both hands, whispering, "What have we done? My God, what have we done?" Becca tried to cry, but the tears didn't come. The act didn't work this time. Dad looked at me, then at the broken glass on the floor, then at my bruised shoes, my dirty hoodie, my sunken cheeks. For the first time, he saw what they had done. For the first time, Becca's halo cracked. And for the first time, I saw guilt in his eyes. Real guilt. I didn't scream, I didn't yell, I didn't need to. The truth had already swung the hammer. Mom turned to me, her voice cracked. "Kyle, come home." Dad swallowed hard. "Son, I stepped past them both, not as the scapegoat, not as the punching bag, not as the disposable child, but as someone who survived their betrayal." Becca stood in the corner shaking, her perfect world crumbling. No golden child, no immunity, no protection. For once, she was the one facing judgment, and I finally breathed again. My parents apologized, not in a dramatic movie way, not perfectly, but enough to show they understood the magnitude of their mistake. They grounded Becca for months, took her phone, made her confess to family, took her to counseling, but none of that mattered as much as one thing. The power she used to hold over me was gone, destroyed by her own arrogance, her own mouth, her own cruelty. Karma didn't need help. It just needed time. Sometimes the people who claim they love you the most are the quickest to believe the worst about you. But lies have an expiration date, and the truth doesn't stay buried forever, especially when someone is cruel enough to brag about burying it. If this story hit you in the chest even once, hit like, drop a comment telling me your favorite moment of justice, and subscribe for more stories where karma doesn't just knock, it's break ear, it kicks the door down.